Bank of Nigeria, Bank of Agriculture, off-takers and input vendors assured of their readiness towards full implementation of the program so that the success recorded in Kebbi State could be replicated and surpassed in Kano State. The farmers on their part thanked the federal government for making agriculture a top priority in its agenda. With sustained support, they assured local farmers could end food importation within 2 years, as envisaged by the Buhari administration. In Kano, Abdullahi Mustafa, Nta News.
FCT Minister Muhammad Musa Bello has directed the Abuja Environmental Protection Board to rid the nation's capital of herdsmen and cattle that are still grazing in residential areas. The minister, whose directive is contained in a statement signed by his chief press secretary, Muhammad Sule, described the unregulated activities of the herdsmen in Abuja's city center as bizarre and embarrassing situation which the AEPB must find a way to deal with. Although the minister did not specify where the pastoralists should be relocated to, he charged the AEPB and the FCT task team on environment to immediately ensure that Abuja is sanitized of all environmental nuisances, including begging and hawking activities on pedestrian bridges and streets of the FCT. The FCT minister warned the AEPB management that he would no longer tolerate excuses for failure to carry out their statutory duties. And for a summary of how the Nigerian equities market fared in the outgoing week, let's join Ade Aho.
Share index and market capitalization of the outgone week appreciated by 1.11% and 1.13% to close the week at 27,756.67 and 9.535 trillion naira. Similarly, all other indices finished higher during the week, with the exception of the industrial goods index that declined by 0.24%, while the index movement closed flat. A turnover of 1.115 billion shares worth 13.817 billion naira in 16,083 deals were traded this week by investors on the floor of the exchange, in contrast to a total of 1.124 billion shares valued at 13.839 billion naira that exchanged hands last week in 15,625 deals. The financial services industry led the activity chart with 993.823 million shares valued at 7.279 billion naira traded in 10,135 deals, contribute
Welcome back. Individually and collectively, the Ogoni people have been reacting to federal government's planned cleanup in their communities and how the exercise will translate to the general development of Ogoni land. Namdi Odipe, who visited the area, tells us how earnestly the people reflect on the project through the eyes of 3 generations of Ogonis.
Market activities along the river banks were far more prominent in Ogoni land in the early 50s. The older generation of Ogonis considered that time and the preceding years the prime period of Ogoni land. 75-year-old Pa Deko Nam has a vivid memory of those good old days. He has lived in Bidera Ogoni all his life and says back in the day it was the ideal place to live and raise a family.
If you come here, you will not like to go. This cocoyam, sugarcane, everything everywhere.
Then came the next generation at the birth of oil exploration and production in the 60s and the 70s. A generation that witnessed firsthand the rising power of crude oil and the gradual degradation of the Ogoni natural habitat. This generation, which is at the heart of activism, believes the cleanup should give them a taste of the golden era of Ogoni land.
Even this is time for them to clean up, we appreciate it. We appreciate it in good faith. We take it in good faith.
The younger generations have a stronger conviction in the hope of better times. As the cleanup looks to commence, the current and upcoming generations of Ogoni should be there to reap the fruits of the exercise.
This is the message that Kensawiwa was saying during about 1970-something, 1980-something, where I have never born. So by the special grace of God, all the slogan of Kensawiwa is now fulfilled.
There is hope. As for this so now, if I get good water drinking, I'm okay.
Indeed, optimism grows among the Ogonis with commitment by the federal government towards the implementation of the cleanup exercise. From Bedera in Ogoni land, Nnamdi Odipo, Nta News.
Moving on to Justin Bem Onye for stories that made headlines within the week.
Hello and welcome to the Week in Review. My name is Justin Bem Onye. I'm pleased to have you join us. The Federal Executive Council in the outgoing week approved a new roadmap for the growth and development of the nation's mining industry in furtherance of the Buhari administration's resolve to diversify the economy for national prosperity. The meeting also approved the setting up of an independent regulatory agency for the mining sector in line with international best practices.
Mining has not been thriving because of that tension between the federal and the state. And now we have a framework that takes into account the concerns of states and the host communities in driving investment into mining.
The latest gross domestic product GDP figures for the second quarter of 2016 by the National Bureau of Statistics released during the week showed a further growth in agriculture and the solid mineral sectors. The report, while confirming a temporary decline, also indicated a hopeful expectation in the country's economic trajectory. In the course of the week, President Muhammadu Buhari commissioned the Oshogbo Government High School in Osun State, southwest of the country, where he expressed federal government's determination to implement far-reaching measures towards entrenching the change mantra to improve the lives of the people. He said excessive waste and rent-seeking in governance are already being curtailed as fiscal discipline becomes the order of the day.
This is the way to go. There should be a substantial commitment of energy and resources to education by all the levels of government. This is how we can renew our society and shape the future of our children.
Wife of the President, Aisha Buhari, during the week under review, launched the Get Involved program. She expressed happiness with the level of patronage of the food items, medicine and other essential commodities targeted at supporting malnourished children in Nigeria. Vice President Yemi Oshibanjo declared open a presidency Google digital training for Nigerian youths, where 400 of them are being empowered in digital skills that may lead to several innovations which can make the country join the technology advanced countries, even as a nation is committed to diversifying its economy. The Vice President noted that Nigeria is already witnessing the arrival of the expected future that bears good hope.
We intend to create a reservoir of human capacity in technology that can be exported internationally. Nigeria can lead India as a market for technology and innovation talent.
You also heard that the Nigerian police is building a database for crime management in line with global best practices. Vice President Yemi Oshibanjo, who laid the foundation for the project, said the Buhari administration is determined to equip the police and other security agencies. In the course of the week, there was a report that an international humanitarian organization named One Foundation was in a discussion with the Vice President to seek partnership with the federal government to raise funds to improve the health of children at risk of dying, especially those in IDP camps in Nigeria. We also reported that the federal government signed 2 contracts with the China Civil Engineering Construction Corporation as part of effort to Nigeria. The signing was done by Nigeria's Minister of Justice and the United Kingdom Deputy Home Secretary. And that concludes our review for the week. Thank you for watching, but do stay on for the rest of the news.
Thank you very much, Justin. And for some stories trending on the global scene, Basi Nta Ipan is our guide.
President Mugabe has arrived Zimbabwe after an overseas trip. His absence, report says, led to concerns over health crisis. The world's oldest head of state returned to his country's capital Saturday morning. His absence had raised uncertainty in this Southern African country, which is already in economic and political turmoil. Frustration has been rising in Zimbabwe after plummeting economic and allegations of government's corruption. Police on Thursday banned protests in the capital for 2 weeks on the eve of demonstration planned by newly formed opposition groups. Mugabe has been in power since 1980, and many people in that country have known no other leader in their lifetime. Mugabe, however, said he would run again in 2018 elections. US and China have both ratified the Paris Global Climate Agreement. President Obama at the summit with other leaders of G20 nations said history will judge the summit's efforts. Last December, the 2 countries agreed to cut emissions enough to keep the global average rise in temperature. Report says the Paris deal is the world's first comprehensive climate agreement. And a glass-bottom bridge in China that was said to be a record breaker has been closed. Officials said the government was planning urgent maintenance work in the area. The bridge, which was opened just 13 days ago and closed on Friday, was overwhelmed by the volume of visitors.